Before we get started, a quick reminder. Unlocked is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult a qualified healthcare provider for any health concerns. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and give a thumbs up, and share across all platforms. Unlocked. Mental performance, physical results.
He steps up to the plate, feeling the weight. The crowd's cheering loud, but it's up to fate. Struck out too many times, doubts creeping in, but he knows in his heart it's time to begin. He remembers the lessons, the words that they say. Keep your head up high, don't let fear lead the way. Act, take a swing, let the baton talk, chest high.
Welcome to Unlocked. Before we get this show started, things are going to go a little sideways. So if you're driving in a quiet place, the tone is going to get, let's call it different. So hold on, and let's see where this goes. What is wrong with you? Why do I even put you in? You know, I can't trust you. I knew if I let you go do that, you'd fail. We're not going to win, and this is on you. Every single time. You're not clutch. Why do you even walk around here? Did you come to practice? Did you lift this week? Did you watch any film at all? What are you, stupid? Okay, so that's probably going to cost me some listeners. For the rest of you, did you feel that? I know you did. That knot in your stomach, the rapid heartbeat, the sweat on your lip, maybe it's in your underarms, your face going a little flush, your blood pressure spiking, all those physical results to mental stimulus. I'm not there with you. I didn't touch you. I didn't chase you. And yet, just from my talking, your body responded. And imagine how much stronger that response would have been had I been in front of you, 1 inch from your nose, spittle flying everywhere, right? You get the same response. I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed in you. And you can almost feel your body kind of, just hearing me say those words. Welcome to Unlocked, mental performance, physical results. I'm Coach Eric, and on today's episode, we're tackling the physical impact of mental stress on your performance. And I don't just mean your mental performance. I also mean your physical performance. Your mental stress is your state of worry. It's your mental tension. It's caused by difficult situations. It's caused by challenging situations. And in the context of sports, it's that drive to win, to succeed, that also elevates your stress level because you have a goal in mind. And that's, of course, winning. But also you have the little goals in mind. You want to get a hit in this at bat. You want to make contact on this pitch. You want to throw the ball successfully. You want to get out of the blocks fast. You know you've got to shoot a single leg. There's a lot of things in sports that are stressful, that are mental related. And all of those things put pressure on your mind, which in turn puts pressure on your body. Your brain is your control center, not just for your mental health, but for your physical responses. Stress, let's face it, it's a natural human response. And it's what prompts us to address the challenges and threats and difficulties in our life. Right? Everybody experiences it to some degree or another. No matter how pampered and easy your life is, there is a degree of stress. And what's interesting about that is it's relative to the situation you're in. So if you're pampered, a little bit of stress is going to feel like a lot of stress. If you're used to constantly grinding, if you're used to putting yourself into difficult situations, that little bit of stress feels like nothing. And that lots of stress that would be cumbersome or debilitating to somebody who's pampered is going to feel manageable if you've been out there putting yourself under stress loads time and time and time again. And that's how you condition your responses. Because the way we respond to stress makes a big, big difference, not only in the results we're going to get, but in our overall health and well-being. Because stress affects both the mind, which feels obvious because that's where the stress is directly applied, but it also affects your body because your brain and your mind and your body are all interconnected. And so a little bit of stress is good. It can help you perform your daily activities. It's when you end up with too much stress that you start getting health problems, both physical and mental. So you need to learn how to cope with the stress. You need to learn how to feel less overwhelmed. And you need to learn how to support your mental as well as your physical well-being in your attempt to perform both at sports, athletics, and in your daily life routine. And let's not forget how important stress and stress load management is in both your academic career and your professional career. Stress has an effect on your performance in every stage of your life. Even if you get away from athletics, even if you get away from academics, even if you get away from your professional career, stress has an effect on your relationships with your significant other, your relationships with your family members and your friends, and stress has an effect on your relationship with yourself. So while mental stress and this drive for high performance can lead to positive physical outcomes, you have to remember that they can also have a detrimental effect on your body, on your mind, on your mental well-being. And depending on the nature and management of these mental states, it can be a positive reinforcement, a positive driver, a positive force, or it can be a drag. It can be a negative force. It can stack up like bricks, just piling and piling and piling. So you have to be prepared to manage stress for both the positive drive it can provide and the negative drag it can become. I know that sounds like a lot, but mental stress has a direct relationship with your cognitive function. What do I mean by that? Well, cognitive function, especially in relationship to stress, comes down to impaired focus, reduced memory, poor decision making, and of course, creativity. So when it comes to focus, stress can make it difficult to concentrate on a task. Initially, that stress kicks in and you're like, oh yeah, I got this, zeroed in. But as the stress stacks, as the stress piles up, you start having a decrease in attention span and it becomes hard to process information. Now, we've all been there. You have that burnout effect where you just can't focus. You just go like, ugh. Right? Right. Memory. That burned out affects memory directly, right? The stress hormones, they interfere with your memory formation and they interfere with your ability to retrieve memories. So it's not just that you aren't building those memories, but it starts getting foggy when you're really stressed out and you can't quite remember what it was you were trying to do. You can't quite remember what it was you should have written down, but you didn't because you thought you were going to remember it. It makes it harder to recall information. And if you can't recall the information as easily, it makes it harder to learn the skill. So if your coach has given you a set of instructions, but you're really stressed out, and now you can't remember, was it left step then right step then left? Was it 5 sets of 10 or 10 sets of 5? Suddenly those details get foggy. Why? Because the stress is piled up and you are now having more difficult not only retaining information, but also accessing information. And what happens when you have less focus and less ability to remember? Well, poor decision making. Oh my goodness. We've all been there. You're stressed out and now you can't think straight and you start making bad decisions. The stress has clouded your judgment. Now, maybe you become super impulsive, right? Some people, when stressed out, it's like, screw it. I'm just going to do it. We're just going to, right? Other people, they get locked down by the stress. Now they're completely indecisive. Oh my God, I can't. You know what? Just forget it. Just never mind. I'm not gonna. No, I can't decide. No. Too much. It's too much. Right? So some people are getting out there and they're like, I'm just gonna do everything. Stress monster. And other people are like, oh my God, stress. No, shut down. Quit. I'm done. Either way, ill-considered choices. Because either now you're locked down and you can't process the information, and so you can't make a good choice and you're just flat. Or you're raging and you're running around and you're not thinking about the consequences. You're not thinking about the plan. You don't remember how many reps it was. You don't remember if you're supposed to be maxing. So you're just going to grab it and you're going to go. Well, grip it and rip it sounds great. But in those circumstances where your cognitive function has been impaired by the amount of stress that's piled up, negative results. Negative results. And look, it doesn't just have to be results. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be instructions. It doesn't have to be memory. Sometimes what the stress does is it just stifles your creativity. And I don't just mean creativity in the arts sense, but it does happen there too. We've all heard of writer's block. That is a real phenomenon. It happens with podcast block too, by the way. You sit down, you got the microphone out, the headset's on, but the stress has been piling up, and all of a sudden you're just like, today I want to talk. It's hard to generate new ideas. It's hard to find innovative solutions when you are so stressed. You have a creativity block. And you see this in sports. Think about the last 3 seconds of the game. The coach has got the marker board out. He's drawing up this great basketball play. He gets it to the point guard, and the point guard just kind of stares off into space with the ball in his hands. Right? Should he have pump faked? Behind the back pass? Dribble drive? It was drawn out for him, but he can't see the court anymore because the stress has blocked him, and it can't go exactly the way it was drawn up because it never does. But he doesn't have those creative juices flowing to be able to make the adjustment he needs to make the play happen. Or maybe the coach drew up the same old play. Nothing's creative or new about it. So the defense swarmed it and stuffed it. Stress eliminates your ability to be creative. Let's talk baseball. I love baseball when it comes to stress management because let's look at pitches, right? You've got a pitcher with 3 pitches, great pitches, throw anytime pitches, and that 4th pitch so that he can see he has 4 pitches, right? We know that, right? The catcher's sitting back there, he's calling fastball, calling changeup, calling curveball, but he gets into a pattern. And you're late in the game, and the stress is piling up, and he's in the same pattern. And now the hitters know the pattern. They're like, all right, well, if he leads off with a fastball, then you know he's coming back with a changeup. If he leads off with a curveball, he's coming up and in with a fastball. And so the batters then can predict what's coming next because the catcher has gotten into a rut. Maybe the pitcher has gotten into a rut. Maybe all right, well, the last batter just smashed one. So he hung that curve. He won't throw another one. He won't throw another one till next inning because we already jumped on it once. And that's what happens with this pitcher. He loses his ability to be creative. He loses his ability to mix up his pitches. He loses his ability to go in and out. He's just going to hammer that outside corner with fastballs because he can't function anymore because of the stress. And so that affects you not only in game planning, that affects you not only in being artistic, that affects you not only in traditional creativity, but it also affects you in your ability to be physically creative and to mix up routines. When we're talking about mental stress, of course, we also have to talk about mental well-being, or more specifically, emotional well-being. Why? Well, your emotions are directly tied to your mental stress load. Think about anxiety. Stress can trigger all kinds of anxiety. We're talking heavy anxiety, we're talking worry, nervousness, and all of those things can interfere with performance. What does anxiety directly trigger? What does worry directly trigger? A fear of failure. It makes you scared to compete. It makes you scared to put yourself out there. And I know what you're saying. I'm not afraid of anything. Yeah, you are. We all are. We're all afraid of failure. Part of what drives us to be successful is that urge to overcome failure. And that's where the emotional boost from stress comes into play. But at some point, that boost becomes a weight. And you have increased anxiety, and that can interfere with your ability to have the confidence needed to get out there and go. And if it can boost you a little bit, and it can drag you down also, well, that's a pretty good indication that anxiety and stress can create mood swings. They can create irritability. And I know that irritable, that's an old man word, but it's what it is. Stress can make you more irritable. It can make you more prone to mood swings. It can lead directly to interpersonal conflicts, and interpersonal conflicts lead to reduced productivity. If you can't get along with your first baseman and you're a shortstop, do you think that every throw you make is going to feel just a little worse? Do you think they're going to stretch quite as well? I'm not saying they're consciously mad at you, so they're consciously sabotaging your throws. But subconsciously, their ability to perform at their highest level is directly affected by the fact they're pissed off at you. If you've been arguing with your coach constantly and you just walked the second batter of the inning, do you think you're less likely to get the hook or more likely to get the hook? Let's face it, they've lost a little faith in you because you're constantly butting heads. And so they're going to take that opportunity. You're out of there. You're posted up. You're a big back to the basket. You've been working on that drop step. You want that ball, but you're constantly arguing with the point guard about pick and rolls. You're constantly arguing about whose fault it is on blown plays. Well, they're not going to trust you to feed you the ball. You're not getting the rock, man. So the increase in anxiety that led to irritability, that led to mood swings, that led to you being a pain in the butt and argumentative, directly affects your performance because now the people around you are not supporting you and helping you in your performance. So now the weight is piling up. You've let stress negatively affect the way you perform. You've let stress negatively affect the way you interact with others. And now others are interacting negatively back to you because of the way you've managed your stress load. And what happens with this? Well, come on. Chronic stress, it leads to burnout, baby. So we talked about burnout when it comes to memory. We talked about burnout when it comes to creativity. We talked to burnout when it comes to decision making. Well, guess what? With your emotional well-being, there's burnout. Chronic stress leads to burnout. It's an emotional and physical level of mental exhaustion. And buddy, not only is that going to impair your performance, it's going to crush your motivation. If you're feeling that bad, what are the chances you want to get off the couch and go grind? Sure, Coach Eric, sure. I don't want to get off the couch because I'm depressed, blah, 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 blah. You said physical. This is all mental, Coach. I know. That was all mental. But I got news for you. It has physical repercussions as well. Stress can actually cause muscle tension. You feel it. You get tight, right? We've all said that. You're feeling tight. Well, that stress load causes muscles to be tense. And when muscles are tense, they tend to fatigue. And that leads to physical discomfort. That leads to reduced stamina. It leads to increases in injury. And it makes it harder to perform the physical tasks in your sports. You know, if you need to get that rub down, you need to get that stress release, you need to get that stretch, you need to get that loose, right? Because the anxiety, the mental pressure, and the stress has caused you to bind up physically. And if you don't find a way to get loose, You're going to increase the probability of injury and decrease the probability of success physically, not just mentally, but physically. And physical isn't just your muscles cramping up on you. Your physical nature involves other things. It involves your healing process, and it involves one of the most critical and often overlooked aspects of performance, your sleep cycle. You have to sleep to recover. And stress really, really, really interferes with your sleep patterns. Insomnia, poor sleep quality, getting up 6 times a night. It all negatively impacts your cognitive function, and you feel exhausted in the morning. You're up all night, stressed out of your mind. You wake up stiff. You wake up sore. You wake up fatigued. You wake up cranky, irritable, angry. Now you're not as creative as you want to be. Now you're not as personable as you want to be. Now you're not as motivated as you want to be because you didn't sleep for anything good. You slept bad. You didn't get your 8 hours. Heck, you barely got your 4 hours. That is physical. That is your body telling you that stress has whooped your butt tonight. And just to make it worse, not only did you not heal well while you were sleeping because you didn't get as much sleep as your body needed to fully restore itself, you've also weakened your immune system. Chronic stress has been known to weaken the immune system, making people more susceptible to illness, more susceptible to injury. And that's going to lead not only to missed work, missed academic time, but it's also going to cost you training time. And it's going to cost you stamina. And at the end of the day, it's going to decrease your performance on the field, on the court, in the classroom, in the office. It's going to decrease your performance on the couch playing Xbox. Why? Because mental stress has a physical reaction. So let's talk about the workplace then. You're going to have less productivity because stress has impaired your focus. It's impaired your ability to do multiple tasks, multitasking, or just stack tasking, right? Not trying to do 3 things at once, but just doing things in the right order. No, stress has reduced your motivation to even care whether you're doing the right task and if you're doing it to the best of your ability. And that means you're going to have increased in errors. Right? Stress increases the likelihood of errors. It increases the likelihood of mistakes. It increases the likelihood of serious consequences. And it increases the probability that you don't care enough to catch it before you get busted for it. So what happens? Well, you get lower performance ratings. You're less likely to get a promotion. You're less likely to do work that's more interesting to you. And so your lack of motivation is going to snowball. That's going to lead to absenteeism because you're not going to feel motivated to get to work. You're going to be sick more often. And that burnout is going to be real. And now you're going to start impacting the people around you. Your team's going to have lower performance ratings overall. They're going to have lower productivity overall, which means now your interactions with your workmates is going to decrease. And we already talked about it. What happens when your social interactions, your interpersonal skills start being affected by stress? And other people don't want to help you out. So now their production goes down, your production goes down, and even if it's all subconscious, no one's actually actively sabotaging you. As a team, the results are bad. It's going to hurt you at work. And I don't care if it's work flipping burgers, making pizzas, making airplane parts, working at a nuclear fuel reactor. Doesn't matter what it is. Any job you have is going to require you to be mentally on task and mentally performing, just like at school. If you're not focused, if you're mentally beat up, if you're burned out, do you know how hard it is to study? If you're really, really stressed about the big test, it's actually harder to concentrate and retain the information you need to make that test less stressful. Oh, stress is wonderful like that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of a miserable cycle of stress you out to make you perform poorly to create greater stress. So preparation is more challenging. Completing projects is more challenging. So now you're not performing as well on your projects. You're not performing as well on your tests. Your motivation is slacking, which leads to your all-time favorite teacher-accused issue of procrastination. That's right. Stress can lead to procrastination. And as individuals, as you feel overwhelmed, you're more likely to continue avoiding the task. And if you continue avoiding the task, you're going to impact your academic progress. And let's face it, if you are a scholarship athlete, that's going to affect not only your grades, but it's going to affect your scholarship, and it's going to affect your ability to get on the playing field because you have standards you must maintain. And if you don't maintain those standards, now not only are you stressed out because you didn't do well on the chemistry exam, but you're also stressed out because now you're going to be punished. There's going to be a punitive response from the athletic department based on your athletics. And you could go so far as to lose your spot on the team and to lose that scholarship because your grades aren't doing well, which in turn is going to cause you even more stress just thinking about that, which is going to cause you to freak out and either go into rage monster mode or lock down unless you start to manage it. Because stress is more than just mental. And it's going to affect you on the field, even if it doesn't affect your academics, even if it isn't killing your interpersonal skills, even if all the emotional baggage isn't there, because you've managed all of that. You've managed your stress load really, really well. Well, it still has a shot at affecting you on the field, on the court. There's an increase in injury risk. We talked about that because of the fatigue involved, because of the muscle tension involved, because of the overall drop in your physical well-being and your immune system. You have a higher probability of not only being injured, but of not healing quickly. And let's face it, part of the not getting injured thing is being focused on task and being, well coordinated. When you're fatigued and when you're unfocused, your coordination drops. We talked about your lack of memory, so your steps aren't necessarily as crisp and as clean and correct in the order. And all of a sudden, you're far more likely to twist an ankle, twist a knee, take a hard fall. And so it negatively affects your ability to perform, not only in the can you run the play, but in the can you not trip over yourself and hurt yourself. So you've got your performance being decreased because your decision-making is bad, your focus is bad, your stress load is wearing you down, you're physically exhausted from not sleeping. And now you're performing poorly, which is causing you more stress and causing you to push harder. Now you've twisted something. And since you're not sleeping, you're not resting, your recovery time is increased. It's keeping you off the court. It's keeping you off the track. You're spending more time with the trainer than you are with your coach. And as that stress builds up, what's the big magic word we've talked about over and over and over again? Burnout! Woo! Yay, burnout! Chronic stress leads to what? Give me a B. So now you're not motivated. You're hurt. You're not playing. And you know what? You're not enjoying yourself anymore. Sports becomes a grind, but not in the positive sense. So what burnout does to you is it takes that grind. And we talk about how much you have to love that grind to be successful in sports. You have to love it. If you do not love the grind of your sport, you only love the game of your sport, you can't succeed at the highest levels. And one of the things that kills people in the grind is burnout. You get tired of it, and the stress of it wears you out. And if you're burned out, take a break. Because if you don't, you might as well quit. But Coach Eric, how can you say quit? Well, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's take a step back here. If you're so stressed out, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't train, you can't stay healthy, you're not enjoying it anymore, You've already let stress win. So at that point, you've either got to get control of it and overcome it, or you've got to quit. There is a time when everybody has to quit, when you have to retire. I don't want today to be your day. I would much rather you said, no, Coach Eric, no. I'm going to learn to manage it not only emotionally, I'm going to learn to manage it physically. I'm going to learn to manage it in my performance. I'm going to be ready to tackle stress on the playing field, on the court, on the track, in the pool, in the weight room. I'm going to have better social skills. I'm going to have better training skills. I love the grind. That's what I want. I hope that's what you want. Because what I know is that overall, mental stress can have a significant impact on the performance of you in all of your aspects of life. You have to recognize the signs of stress, and you have to implement stress management techniques to mitigate its negative effects on the field, in the classroom, at home, on the couch, with your folks, with your significant other, with your best buds, with your enemies, with the refs, with your coaches, with everything in life. I know you have to do that. So if you just say, okay, you know what, I'm pulling the cord, I quit. Cool. All right. Well, you just took one stressor off your plate, at least for now. 20 years from now, you're going to look back on that and go, whoops. And then it's going to cause some stress there. But for now, yeah, you took a stressor off your plate because you quit. But what about all those other aspects of life? Okay, so we don't have to talk about your three-pointer anymore. Cool. You still have to get good grades. And if it's not grades because you're going to go ahead and leave school and join a trade, that's very commendable. But you know what electricians have to do? They have to have an apprenticeship. They have to learn the trade. They have to focus. They have to remember. They have to train on that task. Look, you're not getting down and installing driveways without knowing the formula to mix your concrete. You're not getting down and using a trowel without knowing if you need a 1/8, a quarter, a 3/8. Otherwise, you're not going to do it right. You can't even get a plunger and go clean out the toilet without knowing whether or not what you have in your hand is a drain plunger or a toilet plunger. And if you're not focused and paying attention, plumbing will eat you alive. Everybody thinks that's easy. It's hard. So don't think by quitting sports and quitting school that you're going to walk out into the world and it's going to be stress-free. There is stress everywhere. So you need to mitigate its negative effects. And you need to learn to understand, to embrace the fact that your mental stress is and always will have physical results. Man, somebody should make a podcast about that. Okay, let's take a break. We don't want burnout. We know that we've been going at this hard for half an hour, so I'm going to end it here. We're going to pick right back up on this topic in part 2 and get going with it. But in the meantime, I'm Coach Eric, and this has been Unlocked. Mental performance, physical results.
Keep your head up high, don't let fear lead the way. Act, take a swing, let the pads over talk. Chest high, walk the walk. Breathe in deep, let the pressure unlock. You are focused, ready to rock. Commit to the moment, let the past fade away. Get back in the game, you're ready to play. Sun shining bright, he's feeling the heat. With every deep breath, he's back on his feet. Visualizing success, he's got a new plan. With the tools from Play Big, he's a brand new man. He knows it's a journey, not just a quick fix. With patience and practice, he'll find his own mix. Act, take a swing, let the back of the talk. Chest high, walk the walk. Breathe in deep, let the pressure unlock. You are focused, ready to rock. Commit to the moment, let the past fade away. setback's a lesson, every strike's a chance to rise up stronger, to take a new stance. With the crowd on his side, he's ready to show. With the ABCs in his heart, he's ready to go. Take a swing, let the bat do the talk. Chest high, walk the walk. Breathe in deep, let the pressure unlock. You are focused, ready to rock. Commit to the moment, let the past fade away. Get back in the game, you're ready to play. So here's to the slumps, the struggles we face. With courage and commitment, we'll find our own place. Every new inning is a chance to rise. Chase the champion spirit to the skies. Every new inning is a chance to rise.